Pascal. You are now rocking with that dude Pascal. We be going wild, Haitian in the building, so original. Got the haters catching feelings. Get your hands up to the ceiling and keep them held high, cause St. Louis isn't ready. Forget about it, goodbye. Hold on, we just saying hi. Five somebody, rise up. Weekdays, catch us live. Somebody, let's go.
Good morning. Good afternoon and good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Pascal Show. Hope you guys are all doing well out there. Hopefully the show finds you in good spirits. We got some very disturbing information here that just broke overnight last night. And we got to talk about it. I'm just going to be real. This is not going to be an easy one for everybody. I'm just going to say that right now. Okay. And Daisy said Pascalians. Yes. Okay. What's up, Pascalians? All right. And thank you so much for the comments, and thank you all for being here, being a part of the conversation today. There's some really shocking information here, guys. Like I said, if this is going to be tough. Okay. So just giving you guys fair warning on that. All right. But I do appreciate you guys coming in and jumping onto this show because you guys care. That says a lot about you guys. It says a lot about this family chat. Okay. But we do have to bring this up because this is some crazy stuff. And I'm hoping, I'm really hoping that by us talking about this and putting this story out here, not only just other news outlets that have brought this out, but if we all start talking about this, that maybe there will be some awareness on some certain things, which I'll explain in just a minute. But before we get everything going, before we get on and popping, okay, first off, I got a super chat. Queen Kimberly, what's up? Thank you so much for the 5. Hope you all are doing well. And thank you, Pascal. No, thank you. Because, if you guys weren't tuning in and being a part of the conversation today, I wouldn't be talking about this. We wouldn't be talking about this. Okay? So it means a lot. Really, it does mean a lot. So thank you for coming on. Again, if you guys weren't here, I'd just be talking to a piece of, a hunk of plastic that has glass on it. Real talk. I'd be talking to a wall, for crying out loud. Okay? But I digress. The more we talk about these stories, the more we can bring awareness to a bunch of different things. Okay? So before we get into everything, please do me a favor. Hit that like button down below. Send it past 300 likes. I see you guys starting to file in. Good evening, or good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to every single last one of y'all who are watching from all over the globe. I really do appreciate you being here. And please do not forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't done that yet. Come on, man. Okay? We are slowly moving our way towards 100,000 subscribers. We're almost there. Okay? We just need a few more of you guys to hit that subscribe button. So please do that. Hit that join button down below if you feel like supporting this channel. Okay? These purple lights don't pay themselves. Okay? So that'd be greatly appreciated. Anyway, and British Chippy, thank you so much. We finally crossed into the 94s. It's been a minute, so it feels good. Okay? Anyway, guys, we got to get into this. All right, we got some stories to tell, some conversations to have, and this is not a good one, guys. But like I was saying, the reason why, the more we bring up this topic, the more we talk about this, the more not only can we get justice for the 6 that lost their lives, okay, which we're going to talk about We're going to talk about the 6, but it may be 5. I'll explain here in a little bit, okay? But the 6 that lost their lives, the more we talk about it, the more justice, the closer to justice I hope we can get for those 6, possibly 5. But also, maybe we can unearth the laziness, the corruption within this particular law enforcement department, okay, this police department, because there's a lot of new disturbing evidence that has been unearthed. And I don't mean that to be punny. I mean, I kind of do, but kind of not. Okay. There's been a lot more disturbing evidence that has come up. And a lot of it has been exposed or revealed by News Nation. And I'm just going to show you guys this title for now before we really jump into everything, because we got some video clips, we got some news clips, we got some articles to look into and all that. We got a lot to look into because a lot has developed over the past few days since the last time I did this show, since we talked about this. But as you can see right here, I mean, I got a laundry list. I even wrote it out because I couldn't even believe that this was real. I couldn't even believe the information that was released and the speculations that are now starting to leak out here as well. There are items that were found throughout this property. Items. And we are going to break those down here in just a little bit. Okay. Jazz Rose, thank you so much for the 2. Thank you for being you and helping us through these. Of course, we're all holding hands together. Okay. And Tonka Girl, I'm going to explain the 5 in a way. Like I said, I'll explain here in a little bit. Okay. I will explain that in just a little bit. Because no matter what, it's still devastating news. And the fact that all 7 lost their lives is still terrible as well. Okay. No one should be losing their lives in the way that in any type of way. Real talk. Okay. We care about human life on this show. Sorry, a piece of lint is flying right in front of my face. But there's information here. I'm going to get into it. Sorry, I'm still, since this morning when I got this information, I'm still trying my best to wrap my mind around this. Okay? So I'm sorry if I am taking too much time to get to it. I will get to it. I'm just my mind is a little bit blown right now. Barbara, thank you so much for the $4 super sticker. Phantasmic Ether, thank you so much for being a member for the past month. Yay, as she says in a members chat. Yay, 1 month in the fam. Love all you do, Pascal. Could you do a quick recap of this case? You know what? I'd be more than happy to. Okay? I'd be more than happy to. So for those of y'all who don't know what's going on, just for what we know so up until this show right now, okay? There were 2 girls, okay, by the name of Ivy Webster and Brittany Brewer. Both were 14, one was 14, one was 15 years old. One had just turned 15, okay? They went to go spend the weekend with one of their friends. And one of their friends' stepfather is this monster, Jesse McFadden. Jesse McFadden apparently was the last person to be seen with these 2 girls, with Ivy and Brittany. Now, when Ivy and Brittany did not come home to their respective homes on Sunday, parents got very concerned, understandably, right? So the following morning, there was an Amber Alert that was issued. But later on that afternoon, that Amber Alert was terminated because they had found 7 bodies in the backyard of Jesse McFadden's property. And they had identified the 2 missing girls and Jesse McFadden, actually. They identified all 3 of those people gone in a gruesome way in the backyard. So that's kind of a very broad stroke here. But then we go on to the next part, to the next piece of this story, which is also still extremely shocking and disturbing as well. We find out that, let me show his ugly mug again real quick, y'all. We find out that this piece of work, if you notice the photo that he has, the headshot that we have there of his face right there, guess what? That's a mugshot. Why, you may ask? Why is his photo not like a selfie or him, barbecuing, and they catch him in a candid moment holding the bush light or something like that? Nah, that's a mugshot because this man was convicted of a heinous, gruesome crime in which he spent almost 20 years incarcerated, a guest of the state, if you will. Yeah, that's right. He spent time in prison for almost 20 years for attacking a minor, for lack of a better term, for SAing a minor. Now, as the investigation continues to roll forward, they start to find that this man, this monster, was also supposed to show up this past Monday when they found their bodies. He was supposed to be showing up in person in court for soliciting a minor and containing graphic images of a child. He obviously did not show up. They also unearthed text messages that he had with said victim, the same victim in which he was going to court for, because he contained very unthinkable content with this victim in it, where he was blaming this victim for everything, saying, I've had a good life. I found a job, been doing that job for 2 years. It's been good. I ain't going back. I'm paraphrasing, but he said, I'm not going back. And you did this. Basically, you did this to me. And of course, that's when he goes off, takes 6 people and takes their lives. Now, the other 6 people, or the other 5, I'm sorry, or the 5, I'm sorry, the other 4, okay, aside from Ivy and Brittany and Jesse, who were immediately, all of them were immediately identified. The 2 missing girls and Jesse McFadden were identified, but for a while, for a good day, the other 4 bodies were not fully identified until a day later when they finally said, which we all suspected, we did not want to hear the truth, but we all speculated, and we were right, that the other 4 bodies were that of his wife and his 3 stepchildren. And of course, as you can see, Tiffany Guess, Holly McFadden. I'm understanding that they're also saying they changed Holly McFadden's last name to Guess because of what this monster did, out of respect to the deceased. But continuing on, Michael Mayo and Riley Allen. Now, Tiffany Guess was allegedly the friend that Ivy and Brittany were spending the night over with. That was the stepdaughter that they all went and said, hey, Mom and Dad, I'm going and spend the night at Tiffany's house. Now, more information came out. I know this thing is getting thicker than a Snicker, okay? But more information came out, okay, where they found through the parents of Brittany and all, that Brittany had spent the night numerous times over at this house. Numerous times, for years, was over there spending the night. Same thing with Ivy. She had her times over there spending the night and whatnot. So a lot of us are wondering, why did this all transpire the way that it did now? For 2 years, seems like this man was grooming these 2 girls. But then more information comes out. Because, like I said, law enforcement didn't do their doggone job. as we reported in the last show that we talked about this subject matter, the families of the deceased, of these two young girls, went in after law enforcement had done their search and found more damning information, more damning items that prove that this man, this monster, was up to no good behind closed doors. Now, there's a lot of things I can say right here that I'm going to have to use a lot of code words, but so roll with me on this, guys. Unfortunately, it is pretty graphic. But they found restraints, chains, padlocks, toys of that nature, gels of that nature, paraphernalia, pokies, you know what I mean? Pokies, etc. Strewn throughout the house, just out, exposed, guys. Now, we talked about that. We went in great detail about that, trying to understand what the hell is going on here. Why would 5-0 walk throughout this house, see all this stuff strewn about, and not do a damn thing? Not look at that and go, that's a red flag, brother. That be a red flag. That most definitely be a red flag. Nothing. None of those things were brought in as evidence. They just let it be. They just let it sit there. Now, what's interesting, even more interesting, is that more information now has leaked, now has come out. More information where you go, why? Why would law enforcement leave these things behind? Because there could very well be other missing children in the property or somewhere out here, somewhere out there in Oklahoma, because the evidence shows us that that could very well be the situation. Hence the reason why I showed you that other title, which I'll show you in a second. But they found cell phones, the cell phones of their daughters, just sitting on a shelf. Looked like a laundry room, just sitting on a shelf in a room. Laptops, etc. Electronics that could very well have evidence of bad things, evidence of foul play, and various unthinkable things. They can contain so much. Yet law enforcement did not go in there and take any of those things. None of it. So much that the family went back. And this is just the tip of the iceberg, baby. This title to this article is just the tip of the iceberg. Just the tip. They found clothing, children's clothing, underneath floorboards, guys. Yes, I have that as the thumbnail, and that's not a joke. That is true. Let me just get into this real quick. Web Weaver, thank you so much for being a member for the past 3 months. Such a disturbing case. Yes, it is. Yes, it really, really is. Hold on. Let me get some of these things out the way before I dive even more, because this story, this situation, really, really burns my cookies, guys. This thing is unthinkable. Hiding in plain sight, guys. Hiding in plain sight. That's what I'm going to say really quick. Lisa Hendricks, thank you so much for being a member, becoming a member. Thank you so much. Welcome to the family. Thank you so very much. And Barbara DaCosta, thank you so much for being a member. And just like Barbara, okay, just like Barbara and Lisa, you can become a member too. Consider hitting that join button down below. It'd be greatly appreciated. And I really do appreciate the support. Okay. Let me get these super chats real quick, and then we're going to dive into this mug. And if you have not hit that like button down below, please do so. Okay. Please hit that like button down below. All right. That would really mean a lot. Send it past 400 likes. Let's get to 4. Okay. A like don't cost a thing, but it does help this story get out there some more. All right. Nini Panini, what's up? Thank you so much for the 5. Pascal, you are wonderful. Thank you. Our justice system is broken. A person like this man should be in automatic hold in jail. No bail. Thank you. You know what? I agree. I 110% agree. How this guy did what he did, and that is a detail I did skip over. Okay. He was locked up, straight up locked up, guys, for 17 years as a guest of the state, okay, in prison for doing unthinkable things to a young girl. But whilst he was in prison, he continued to break the same crime, do the same crimes in which he was incarcerated for, whilst being locked up with another minor, soliciting, getting photos and all that, and apparently sharing that content with other people. Okay? Sharing that content with other people, y'all. Maura Kelly, thank you so much for becoming a member. I really do appreciate it. And Jazz Rose, thank you so much for becoming a member. I really do appreciate it. Welcome to the family. Thank you so much. But yes, like I said, this is unthinkable. These are some unthinkable things that really are happening here. And like I said, I got details that will blow your mind. But first, let's get into this article. Again, I appreciate all y'all for being here. Thank you. Thank you. Hit that like button. Don't forget to crush that subscribe button. But this is full on laziness of the PD, of the police department. They did nothing. They walked through, they walked out. Basically, they said, well, they gone. They already perished, so who cares? Never even thought in their minds that maybe if this guy is willing to do, man, I'm sorry, I need to blow me up again. You're telling me that these people think that this guy could not have done other things, that he was already a repeat offender. He had already been in jail for doing something so crazy, so unthinkable. He continued to do so while he was in prison. They still spat him out into the world so that he can allegedly con a woman into thinking that he's a good man, that everything was a big misunderstanding. And she had 3 children of her own. Brings 2 teens over. They go missing. They come out and find all 7 of them perished in the backyard. Then you go through the house, you see restraints, padlocks, and whatnot, and you're telling me that this guy you're telling me there's no possible way that he hasn't done this before? Come on, guys. That's the most insane thing. I can't even wrap my mind around that. That's insane. Law enforcement walked through this whole entire place, saw all kinds of crazy stuff, red flags firing off. Red flags should have been firing off. And yet what happens? They walk out and they're like, well, job here is done. They're already dead, so who cares? Like I said, there's information here that's going to shock you. Let's get into this. I'm sorry for the delay, but this thing just makes me so angry. No children should be going through this. Ever. And this man hid in plain sight. Okay. Family members of the Oklahoma victims, okay, say they found horrifying things Friday in this monster's rural home in Henrietta, Oklahoma. So Lynn Wyatt, the aunt of 4 victims, okay, of course, spoke to Ashley Banfield about the disturbing discoveries in what's being described as a house of horrors. Okay, and we are going to be looking at the video, or at least try to watch it. But we have, and I can't say these words so much, so clothing that was covered in red, a ledger with what appeared to be names and ages, cell phones hidden under floorboards, a 4-inch stack of Polaroids. Don't worry, we're going to go back to this in a second. But a 4-inch stack of Polaroids. And certain things, well, you can read it, I can't say it out loud, taped to the back of a dresser were among some of the findings. And this is what Lynn Wyatt told Ashley Banfield on News Nation. Now, we are going to be looking at that in just a minute. But, and of course, we got some other video as well. And I'm not going to go too deep into this because this is basically the entire interview. But there is a part here that I found very interesting as well. Let's get into this. They said, we found bones. We found bones. Straight off the bat. We found bones. How did they find bones? So 5-0 couldn't find bones, but they found bones. A family who has no detective, experience in detective activity was able to find bones. Oh, they were able to find bones. They were able to find children's clothing covered in red. Now, let me tell you something. There's a part here, and I'm going to say this really quick. Yeah, it is a T-dubs. Okay, I think we all know that by now, but thank you, Nur. I do appreciate it. But there was red on these children's clothing that was still wet. There's a detail that you're going to be hearing in a little bit. The clothing that they found, the red was still wet, that it was coming off onto their hands. And you're telling me there couldn't be a possibility of other missing children, other victims out here in these Oklahoma streets right now? You're really telling me that? The police's job was done when they walked in, found the bodies, scooped them up, and left. Their job was done. Well, the monster's gone. There's more. The other family members came. The police came. We found a lot of horrifying things. Okay? She said the ledger, let me just show that to you guys. She said the ledger included names and what looked like ages or numbers. She turned it over to the police because she knew it was something important. Let me just say this. Obvi. Okay? Obviously. I'll just read this little bit, this paragraph. The most probably disturbing evidence I found that day as I pulled the dresser out, and behind it was a towel with duct tape around it, and I pulled it in, it was restraints, Velcro ones, unlike other ones. I got to use code words, guys, which was laying all throughout the house. This one was taped to the back of a dresser. This is what Lynn Wyatt said. I asked the deputy that was on the scene if he wanted it. He said, this is not an active crime scene. It's solved. If you don't want it, put it in the dumpster. Let me just say that. Well, let me say that one more time. For those of y'all in the nosebleed seats, this is exactly what apparently a deputy said to her that was on the scene while they're finding out, unearthing all of this stuff, all of this new evidence throughout the house. Some things were hiding and some things were in plain sight, as we saw before. She asked the deputy if they wanted it. And he said, this is not an active scene. It's solved. If you don't want it, put it in the dumpster. This is not an act. Full on laziness, y'all. Full on laziness. And you know for a fact, when 5-0 do their job, and they do a great job at their job, I will sit here and I will applaud, go, yeah, Hercules all day long. I will cheer and be happy, like, good job. When there's an active monster on a scene causing a mass tragedy, I'm going, yeah, come on, 5-0, keep 5-0ing. But now when you hear stories like this, where they say it's not an active scene, just toss it into a dumpster, when that could very well, which it is evidence that could have DNA of other kids or other people on it that could be missing out here. These cops are saying, throw it in a dumpster. I'm sorry, I got to call it like it is. Okay? I got to call it like it is. The lack of care, with this is absolutely mind-blowing to me. So let me repeat this one more again, because I have it written down. Okay? One of the things I want to point out is that Holly McFadden, Holly Guess, I've been hearing it two different ways now, may have been involved because of the information, because of the evidence that has been shown here. And I got to say, damn right she was involved. Damn right she was involved. There's no way that house looks the way it is and she didn't know nothing. She knew exactly what was going on, guys. Now, she could be involved, or she may have been held, or I don't know, threatened, her life threatened, in which she couldn't do anything. I don't know. But I will say, in my mind, she was involved because of the things that were unearthed, that were found throughout the house and outside of the house. So that's one thing I want to say really, really quick. Now, I want to say again, the 4-inch stack of Polaroids, which we will be hearing from an interview from Lynn Wyatt, okay? They are of children. A 4-inch stack of Polaroids, which could contain the identity of so many kids, so many other victims. That could potentially be that. Or they could just be a 4-inch stack of the kids that were found in the backyard. That could be it too. But no matter what, that's evidence, wouldn't you say? Yeah, I would say it is. Here's another piece. VHS tapes that could potentially contain content of kids. We already talked about the ledgers, but hey, apparently the ledger contains names and birthdays of kids. Lumber with padlocks. 5 cell phones that were found, because there's a couple different things. So there were 5 cell phones that were found. Within those 5, all 5 cell phones that were found underneath a floorboard were that of Holly's. All of them. All 5 cell phones were Holly's, hidden away. Why? There were 3 other cell phones that were found there. One of them was owned by a little kid because it had a Panda wallet attached to the back of it. Now, that could be one of the kids' phones, one of the step kids' phones, or it could have been another victim's phone that has not been identified yet. And this is the part that I found very interesting. A new pond was made in the backyard about 2 months ago. A new pond, let me repeat that again. A new pond was made 2 months ago in the backyard on the McFadden residence that could potentially have content in there or remains. This is the information that we have right now. The new information. Of course, like I said, you're going to be hearing a lot of this over again through these videos that I'm going to be showing you guys. Okay. Obviously, this is TW. Clearly, it's TW. Okay. Now, here's the thing. If you want to take it further, Shay just said, thank you so much for the comment. Shay, she says, if you want to take it further, her kids knew as well. They could have been used to lure the kids there. Yeah, there's no way, as you said, no one with eyes didn't know what was going on. You know, I will say this. I do think with the kids, you got to remember, let's be real. Those kids are being raised in this kind of environment and they don't know any better. They're probably terrified out of their minds, tortured, etc. You know, all the things that you can think of. Sure, that's what I thought, that maybe that, you know, the daughter was being used as bait in a way to lure these kids in, right? To be friendly with them and all that. But because of the paraphernalia that was found throughout the house, you know, edibles and whatnot, and possibly more stuff, because there was a syringe, syringes were found and all that kind of stuff. Makes you think that maybe he tried to make the place be like, hey, you can come out here and get wasted. You know, you can kick it and have a really good time, so on and so forth. You know what I mean? You also got to remember that there's a dialogue, there's a energy, there's a theme that was probably implemented within them for a long time, and it was probably just regular life for them, just being this way. But I feel like they were just being tortured and doing what he asked because they were scared of getting punished in a unthinkable way. I mean, it's a lot to think about, guys. It's a lot to think about. There's so much going on. And like I said, because there's a potential of, sorry, I'm just reading the list, making sure I didn't skip anything. Yeah, that's everything. But because of that content, you know, all that stuff that was found under floorboards. Why you got stuff like that under floorboards, baby? Why? Think about that. Some were still wet. That's insane to me. Okay? So I'm just checking to see if there was any super chats I missed before we hop into the videos and whatnot. Miss Renee, thank you so much for being a member for the past 2 months. I really do appreciate it. Good morning, Pascal, and good morning to everyone. Good morning to you too, Miss Renee. I really do appreciate the support. Thank you so much. But yeah, all right, so we're good. But this whole thing shows to me that those children, just the stepkids, okay, were absolutely being terrorized. Absolutely. And then maybe those kids were being lured in like, hey, we're cool. Everything's great. We're having a great time, blah, blah, blah. And then all this went down. It's pretty wild to me, okay? Pretty wild to me. Again, let me show you guys their faces and names one more time. I know some of you guys are wondering. So Tiffany Guess was the friend that the two girls went over to spend a night with, okay? Tiffany Guess, from my understanding, is about 14, 15 years old. I don't know the ages of Michael Mayo or Riley Allen. But there are now speculation, theories that Holly was working along with Jesse. That is what they're saying, that she may have been involved in the treatment of everything. Trina Dickerson, thank you so much for being a member for the past 2 months. Love you. I love your channel. Thank you so much. I love your support. I love you too. Thank you so much. But pretty wild stuff, guys. Pretty wild stuff. Okay. Now, I do want to show you guys a few other things here, because this whole thing is absolutely insane to me. I still can't believe any of this. I can't believe any of this is real. I can't believe any of this is real. And I can't believe that law enforcement just let these things lie. Okay? Just let these things lie. But I think, which is good, we get to hear it from a source, from a news source. I mean, we are going to be hearing some interviews from various parents here in just a minute. I think we are hearing the aunt, and of course, we are hearing from a father as well that was there. And the reactions that they have are absolutely gut-wrenching. I'm gonna be real. No kid should be going through these things, guys. None of these. No one. No one should be going through these things. Okay. So let's take a look at this. Okay. Just let me know, hit the number 1. Let me know that you guys can hear this. But this is just reiterating exactly what I just told you, the list of things that were found on the property. And she even talks about the pond, which I find to be very, very interesting, that this new pond was made 2 months before this tragedy. What could be underneath? What could be underneath that pond? And are they going to do the damn job of digging up possible evidence? Let's take a listen.
Now we're learning just so much more may have been happening at that home, a series of crimes against children. In fact, if the evidence that's been collected just in the last 48 hours proves to be accurate. And also we're learning about a real colossal failure of law enforcement, because this was a week ago, and only just over the weekend, almost 7 days after the murders of those 6 people and the suicide of Jesse McFadden, were the state authorities actually there with excavators and drones, and then discovering potentially that the pond, newly created just 2 months ago, might actually yield evidence, possibly more victims, possibly even more bodies, and evidence about the wife who was murdered in this horrible murder-suicide. Well, it's possible now that Holly may have been involved. Evidence collected at the scene much later than police had left it and opened it back up to the public. Evidence now collected shows she may have an integral role, in fact, in the abuse of other children, other victims who may still come to light.
Let me just say this really quick. You just heard her say that. I got to jump in and out because of fair use and all that crap. But anyway, let me just say this really quick. She just said, police already went through this, and I know I'm repeating myself, but I want to drill this in. I want to send this all the way home. Law enforcement went into that place, combed through the place, or not really combed through the place. They walked through. They basically said, "Oh, it's a done deal. What's done is done." Okay, the bad guy is gone. He's dead and gone. He's gone. So who gives a damn? They went through all this, but there was evidence that could prove that there could potentially be more kids out here that possibly have gone missing, and they could be in the backyard, or that were SA'd, attacked, whatever you want to call it, by this monster that has not been reported yet. There's DNA all over that house. All over that house. And the cops just opened the place up to the public like the case is closed. Don't worry, we're going to be going back to a video of a interview of the victim that caused him to go to jail for almost 20 years, because we need to talk about that DA. We're going to circle back and relive that conversation one more again. But to me, I see corruption. To me, I see some dirty, dirty cops. I see a dirty system out there in that area that does not give a damn about the fact that this PDF file was out here. This RSO, this registered son of a gun, such and such, was out here doing no good, and they didn't care. The fact that he was supposed to be on the list at first and he was not also shows the lack of energy behind this, the lack of staying on and making sure the paperwork is done, every T is crossed and every lowercase j is dotted. They did not care. And then they open it up to the public, and then the parents go through that house and find all this stuff. The parents don't need to be finding this.
We have exclusive videos that were shot by a family member and turned over to us on the Banfield team that we're going to show you tonight of some of the evidence that was collected and some of the activity on the ranch yesterday and today. The Oklahoma State investigators coming out and looking into containers on the property, RVs on the property. We'll have to apologize for the grainy nature of this video, but this was shot almost hurriedly as the Oklahoma investigators showed up back on the scene with their mobile analysis unit. Medical examiner also appearing on the scene today and spending hours upon hours at that scene. A medical examiner not typically called out to a scene unless there are bodies. Still no announcement from the authorities if in fact they have found more bodies. But the drones flew overhead. Who knows if they had heat seeking? Evidence was processed out of a car. As you can see, the evidence envelopes at this point. Better late than never, I guess.
Yeah.
But really, 7, 8 days later, there's the drone. You can just see it flying. They had taken a couple of drones. They brought out all of this heavy equipment, excavators, earth movers, potentially to dig on that property for more bodies. Here are some of the things I can tell you that family members were able to find. And this is after Friday, after they'd been able to actually go through the house the first time.
Now, what's really frustrating about this, and don't worry, we're going to get to that next part here, which is basically reiterating everything I just told you guys a second ago. But what's very upsetting about this situation is that this is the reason why. I mean, if this man was still alive, even so, even afterwards, doesn't matter. If there was a case, if there was a trial that we were marching into, potentially, if this monster was caught and they let this place open for the public to walk through, that's contaminating evidence. That's ruining evidence everywhere. Now, from the footage that we've seen before, the family members seem to be very smart to not go and touch anything. They're just kind of taking photos of things and taking, a video of everything, recording as much as they can to show proof positive that law enforcement dropped the mother-loving ball. But one thing that's very frustrating is a week later, they decide to come in. There's stuff that could rot away, wash away, fly away. Things could get contaminated. If it's open to the public, there are people out here that would walk through there and touch things. You're contaminating a crime scene that should have stayed active until the proper people, until the proper departments went through that place and did their due diligence. This is the problem whenever we see these stories with other cases where a monster walks because they didn't get onto that story or onto the case fast enough. They just let stuff sit, or, oh darn, the evidence, that video that showed the guy walking across the street type of thing just got deleted. Oh darn, we can't see, we don't have the evidence because we deleted that a month ago, when you should have come up to us during that time. We see these kinds of situations happen countless times. And again, we have this situation here too, which, by the way, there could be evidence, DNA, etc., that could show us proof positive of somebody else being hurt in that place or finding a missing person that's been missing for a while, maybe for the past 2 months. You never know. But they didn't do anything until the family started to make noise. That's when they showed up. That's too late, in my personal opinion. Too damn late. Now, I hope that whatever they find, they're able to, use. But the potential of evidence getting damaged because other civilians walking in and out of that house, that is a huge probability. And that angers me. This is the reason why situations where people walk happens. It's because the lack of comeuppance when it comes to law enforcement and them doing their damn job. I'm going to continue. Sorry, guys. This just gets me heated.
Bloody toddler clothing that was found beneath the floorboards. The blood apparently still wet enough to get on the hands of the person who picked it up from under the floorboards. A 4-inch stack of Polaroids. 4-inch stack of Polaroids of children. VHS tape showing possible abuse. A ledger containing the names of children and birth dates. A long piece of lumber that had multiple chains and padlocks attached to it and spaced along the piece of lumber. Multiple phones, 5 of them, in fact, stacked, apparently all Holly's former phones. This piece of lumber, by the way, just point out the person who's holding it. That's not a police officer. No, this is evidence of potential sexual crimes in the hands of family members because they found it, not the police. The police didn't bag that up as evidence. The family members had it and photographed it. And just beneath, if we can drop our banner on that photograph, just quickly drop the banner, you can count 1, 2, 3 padlocks on those chains on that board. As far as the phones, yes, Holly's former 5 phones, but also 3 other phones. We don't know who owns them, but one additional phone on top of those 3 looked like a child's phone because it had a panda wallet that was attached to the back, the kind of panda wallet that a child might actually have on the back of his or her phone.
I'm telling you right now, other nightmares happen in that house outside of the stepkids and those 2 teens that went missing. I'm telling you right now. You're telling me that there is I gotta run around these things here, guys. These words. But you're telling me that there was a clothing that was covered in red that was still wet that came off people's hands. To me, that says 5-0, do something. Or a higher up law enforcement department, look into this. Dive into this story because that doesn't make any sense. There's some kid potentially out in that backyard that may have recently lost their life. It is a full house of horrors. I'm telling you, there's more. There are more kids out there. I'm telling you right now, there are. And the only reason why law enforcement is now doing the doggone job is because the parents of these victims walked through that house and said, wait a second, something ain't right here. Something just ain't right. I have never seen anything like this in my life. Not in this way. I've seen stories of a girl breaking free from the basement dungeon of some monster's home. Excelsior Springs, if you remember that. Running across the street, knocking on many doors, begging for help, saying her friend she couldn't help her friend and all that. We hear those kind of stories. And then what did you see? You see law enforcement go in there and just go in, diving into that story, trying to save the day. But I've never seen this kind of reaction, this type of laziness ever in my life. Ever. So I got two interviews that I want to share with you. One's from Cuomo. Okay. One's from Cuomo. But before we get into that, I do have some super chats that I want to get to before they completely disappear. But this kind of stuff just breaks my heart because these kids could have been screaming for help, but just but people couldn't pick up the signal, right? You never know, because it does make me wonder, what about the other fathers, the other biological fathers? Again, let me show you their faces one more time, because I think she had 3 kids from 3 different men. So you have Guess, Mayo, and Allen. Now, we did see the interview with Guess. Okay. Tiffany Guess's father did speak out in an interview, but I'm wondering where Michael's father is. I'm wondering where Riley Allen's father is. I have yet to see any interviews by them. Not sitting here saying that they need to be on interviews all up in the videos and whatnot, but I am curious as to if they have spoken out and if they ever saw or realized that maybe their kids were giving them a sign of crying for help. If that was the case, it does make me wonder about that. Because there had to have been some sort of cry for help. The other thing too, I do want to point this out just to think about this. Okay. Let me pull this up too as well. Okay. This has all been speculation. Okay. What I'm saying here, but speculation warning on this piece that I'm going to say right now. Okay. And this is just a theory, but these kids, the mother and the 3 kids, we're taking Ivy and Brittany out of the equation here, out of this conversation. But again, fair warning, this is just speculation. But given the fact of all the evidence that we've been seeing, like all the stuff, the 4-inch stack of Polaroids, the VHS tapes, the ledger with the names and birthdays, the lumber with the padlocks, the 5 cell phones, which are Holly's, 3 cell phones that one could be from a kid and 2 other ones they don't know where they're from. Let's see, and maybe the pond and all that. What are the chances? Again, speculation warning, but what are the chances of him doing what he did because he was trying to get rid of the evidence? If you get what I'm saying. You got to remember, if these kids, again, this is speculation warning, speculation only, okay? This is not fact. This is just a theory in my mind. What if these kids, I'm talking about the 3 and possibly the 2 teens as well, Ivy and Brittany, but Ivy, Brittany, Tiffany, Michael, and Riley, and even Holly, what are the chances of him trying to get rid of witnesses? Because if you think about it, if they stayed and they lived to tell the tale, I'm sure they'd be telling a tale that would not be a pretty one. Think about it for a second. Why would he do all that? Why would he go, let me take everybody out? Why would he do that? Think about that for a second. Think about that. Because those kids endured so much and probably witnessed so much. If you got clothing covered in red, still fresh in a way, the things those kids witnessed, I'm sure, absolutely horrifying. Now, again, I'm just saying that is just a theory. That is just speculation. But why would he take everyone out as well? Unless they had something that they knew. And as soon as if he was to do something to himself, they would run and tell the cops. and say, yes, there's a whole bunch of things under these floorboards. There's VHS tapes, there's Polaroids, there's this pond that he just made. We know where everything, we know exactly where all the bodies are buried. I know that's a crazy theory, but I just had to say that out loud because I just thought of that. I could be wrong, but I'm just talking with fam right now. Mrs. Estrada, thank you so much for the 10. My line of thinking is when they want to see if he was trading it. Yeah. You could trace to other P's. Yep. This could be a huge ring. He used those kids like S-bombers use kids. Yep. One thing I will say, and I agree 110%, is about the content in which he contained. The cell phones that probably had countless gigabytes of content, the Polaroids, the VHSs, all that stuff. Most of the time, they're being shared throughout the internet. They're shared amongst other creepazoids, for lack of a better term. Okay? They are being shared out here with other monsters for sure. So when you see something like that, it's like, wait a second. Either he got that from somebody or he got it, he made it himself, and then he's sharing it with other people. This is what he was going to a court for on Monday, this past Monday. He was going to court because he was sharing this content, not only containing it, not only obtaining it, but actually sharing it with other monsters out here. So you're telling me that he wasn't sharing this ish with other people? All this content? You got to remember all the stuff that he had. Some of it could have been original content that he was making in the privacy of his own home and then sharing it on the dark web. But according to 5-0, the case is closed because he gone. Yet this could unearth a huge ring. But they weren't doing their due diligence. Kimberly in Japan, thank you so much for the 1,000 yen. Thank you so much. Thank you, Pascal, for reporting this story. This needs to spread far enough to force the FBI into full investigation. How can the 5-0, just walk away from a scene with 7 unalive bodies so easily? No, I'm wondering the same thing. That is our ongoing conversation. Okay. I couldn't agree. I couldn't agree more. How could you sit there, see 5 or 7? Well, actually 6, not including the monster, but 6. How can you have 6 bodies, all of them, majority of them kids, and not sit there and go, wait, something's up? And especially with his track record, with his rap sheet, I got questiones. Again, I got questiones. Thank you so much for all the super chats, though, guys. All right, we're going to get into this next one, okay? The evil in this world is, it's just earth-shattering. Let's get into this piece. It's an interview from one of the fathers, okay? And it's with Cuomo. So he says a lot in here, too. Let's take a listen.
Okay, the Oklahoma Sheriff's Department tasked with investigating last week's slumber party massacre. I actually don't know why we're calling that. I mean, this guy was a predator, and he had access to kids who had kids over, and he wound up killing everybody and himself. The investigating agency has been asked to step aside. Why? Maybe because Justin Webster, father of a 14-year-old victim, Ivy Webster, visited the scene of the crime himself last week after sheriffs said the home was cleared. That's the only reason victims' families or anybody else would be allowed in a crime scene. And he found a mountain, the father found a mountain of electronic evidence left behind, including the cell phone of his daughter that the cops missed. The scene of the crime, he says, was horrific. Chains, restraints, drugs, weapons all over the house.
Freaking believable.
Justin also found a list of names and birth dates, potentially pointing to other victims the suspect may have planned to target. Let's bring him in. This is so bizarre, especially with all the pain you're already dealing with. Justin, thank you for joining us. First, let's deal with Ivy's legacy. And you have a change.org petition that you want people to know about, and that matters most. So what is it?
We had her name is Ashley Mann. She's one of the residents here in Henrietta. She's actually a sex, she was an abused person herself also. And so this really meant a lot to her when this happened here in our small little town. And she took it upon herself to start drafting a petition. And I asked her to come over so that way myself and my family could go over the petition and begin to add some other stuff that we thought we would want as a family of victims of a horrendous crime. So we basically just drafted it together, and she posted it on the change.org, and where we've given it to Congressman Fettgetter to read over so he understands what but basically the whole community here and hopefully the rest of the state will jump on board. And then after that, we're asking the whole country to jump on board to start enacting some of these changes and to create a new law. And we want to make sure that I think a big point for us was the name of the law. Most of these laws that are drafted in most states are named after one victim. And,
right,
with all due respect to them, we wanted to come up with a law that protects all the victims. And here in Henrietta, our mascot are the Knights. So we wanted to name the law the Knights Law. And I think that's a great name to protect all our little Knights that are victims and affected by this.
So let's go to the investigation. You went into the home, they said it was cleared, and they literally missed your daughter's cell phone.
Yes, so from my understanding is the sheriff's office, Okmulgee Sheriff's Office, was the point agency in the investigation. And they had contacted the OSBI here in Oklahoma to do a partial assistance. And as a partial assistance for the OSBI, they can only assist as far as what the sheriff's office wants them to assist in. And so when they were going through the house, the sheriff's office, I think there was maybe just a few of them inside the house with OSBI, and they were telling OSBI what they want to take and whatnot. So just to clear up that confusion between the sheriff's office and the OSBI did what they could as far as the sheriff's office leading them. The sheriff's office is the one that let us down not once, not twice, but 3 times now during this entire investigation. And it's become very, very frustrating.
What was your biggest concern after you walked through that house?
The biggest concern for me would be they completely missed the entire story. And basically what we're hearing is that, the sheriff's office, they took point out in the property where my daughter's and the other victims' bodies were found. And after they found the bodies and the suspect, Jesse McFadden, they basically called off the rest of the investigation and the search of the house and the rest of the property. And obviously, as you've seen on K4 News, I had Kaylee Olivas with me as a reporter inside the house. She's the one who got most of that footage that I'm hoping the nation has seen by now.
We're seeing it. We're seeing it. We're going to show it. And obviously, hey, thank you for watching. Please go.
Now, what's interesting is, I mean, the fact that there was like other type of content, like, witchcraft books, all that stuff in the house as well. It's, again, this is just, I'm still trying to understand how this whole thing, how this ball was completely dropped. I'm just curious. And it starts from way before this man, this monster, way before he even met, I guess physically met Holly. It starts right then. As soon as he was released from prison, that's where the system failed. Started right there, and it continues to fail still to this day. The only other thing I will say, and I can only imagine what this father's feeling, Ivy's father is feeling with all this, because this is just, again, devastating information, devastating situation for him as well. But the fact that he has to create a change.org so that they can change the laws in their state, so things like this don't happen again, still blows my mind. It really does. But I am very thankful that he and his family, and hopefully the other families, are gathering together, rallying together, and doing this together, because it's got to get done. The time to change is right now, right? So I'm hoping that that's something that happens here very, very soon. S Dubs, what's up? Thank you so much for the $2. This is absolutely horrifying. I completely agree. I don't know how this is even possible. There is so much that could have been prevented from this happening the way it did. Nicole B, thank you so much for the 5. Those parents failed the kids. And they never visited where their kids were going for years. Ooh, well, yeah, looking good, Pascal. Thank you so much. $5. I'm conflicted on that. I'm conflicted on that comment. Reason why I say that is I think that we are all naturally very trusting people, and we just don't think that monsters would be living with kids, right? We just instantly think that. I think that there was mistakes made. There were mistakes definitely made. But at the same time, I feel like if it's a small town and all that, I don't know. I think that there's a level of naivete that we have to throw in here. But also, I think that, it is huge mistakes were made. Okay, definitely huge mistakes were made. But I also think that we can look at this now and say, hey, parents, all of us, okay, wherever your kid is spending the night at, they should be, I'm coming through. I don't care if my kid is 14, 15 years old. I don't care if she's 18. I don't know if kids at 18 do slumber parties, but you know what I'm saying. You're going to do everything you can to make sure that your child is in a safe environment. And I think with this, there was a ball dropped. There was mistakes that were made, but I feel like it was a level of naivete. I will say that. I definitely will say that. But yeah, the ball was dropped. The ball was dropped. But then I feel like it's a trifecta, it's like this perfect storm, this unfortunate perfect storm of things, of the ball being dropped in various ways. And this is why what you said earlier, parents, Nicole, what Nicole said, parents, go. Make sure wherever your kids are spending the night at are trustworthy people. Some of these people, like this individual, like this monster, this house was a house of horrors, right? If they're willing to invite your kid into that house, they best believe I'm going to walk into that house just to be like, sup? Okay. It's a little messy, but there ain't no chains exposed, paraphernalia just hanging out by the at the end table, right? It's pretty crazy. Nini Panini, thank you so much for the 5. Maybe law enforcement involvement. Let me just say this, because this is what kind of like flew through my mind during this conversation. What are the possibilities of some? You got to remember, most of these monsters that are doing this kind of content, they're sharing it with other people. Why would law enforcement suddenly just back all the way off and not do a damn thing about this one? Again, let me just say this again. This is speculation warning, but what if there is some sort of higher up that's involved in this same ring, and they just stopped the investigation so abruptly in that way? It does make you wonder, what's up with that? Could the ring be connected to people on the higher up? You know, he's the content creator, and there's the consumers that are watching it, you know, from higher ups or from above, right? I mean, you know, that obviously that's speculation land. That's just theory, but I'm sure that's what a lot of people are thinking as well. And it could be as well, like what Tyler said. What about law enforcement as well? Yeah, just like what Nini Panini said, right? Maybe there is some sort of, you know what I'm saying? Maybe there is another connection here. Maybe the people within law enforcement and higher up. I'm saying, like, and higher up. I'm just saying, think about that for a second. There are people out here that will sit here and say that the people who are on the registered list, there are people out here that will say, "Oh no, that's just a preference." There's people out here that literally have that theory that they're not doing anything wrong. It's just a preference. That's insane. Okay, in my personal opinion, but that is something that has been thrown around. There is literally a TED Talk about that. I'm not kidding. There's literally a TED Talk where somebody's making a speech about how people who look at things like this, it's just a preference. That's insane. Okay? That's insane. So you never know. There might be people linked throughout this whole law enforcement and above that could be like all cool for it. I don't know. But that is very, very wrong. Disturbing and wrong. Okay? And could be stopping. Okay? Could be stopping this kind of stuff from exposing more people. Because there is a ring. We all know this. Okay? This is not some weird, theory out here. Not some rumor. Not some urban legend. There really is a ring out here, and they're sharing this content out here. They are. And these guys are getting paid to create that kind of content. And in my mind, I keep thinking that this dude was a content creator. Not only was he involved in this stuff, but he was also selling this stuff. That's what I think. That's what I think. But we got another one. Okay. This is the from a little bit of the interview that I sent, that I read for you guys before I gave you that laundry list of information. Okay. And it sucks because whenever we talk about this kind of content, this will most likely get like pushed down as far as the video. It's frustrating because this is content that needs to be addressed. This is content that needs to be seen. This is a conversation that needs to be had. We all need to have more awareness on this. And of course, I'm not trying to make people get scared or anything like that. But this is the true reality of what we live in, of what we deal with. And there are very, very dirty, disgusting, corrupt human beings out here that are hiding in plain sight, doing the exact same stuff, if not worse. And this guy was hiding in plain sight. And for years, he was doing this kind of stuff and obtaining content. Like I said, 4-inch stack of Polaroids, VHS tapes, cell phones, computers, which could contain all kinds of stuff. Put all that in your pipe and smoke on that and let that marinate all the way down to your plums for 1 minute. This should all be a full-on wake-up call for every parent on this planet. Make sure you know for a fact where your kids are and the environment in which they are at. Doesn't matter if your kids are going, Mom, you're embarrassing me. I don't care. I don't care, son. I'm going over there and we're going to see who this person is. Who be the Smiths? Son, I don't know who they are, so I'm about to meet them. I don't care. You're my son. You see what I'm saying? I don't care if you look crazy and paranoid. I'd rather you guys be paranoid and look crazy and have your kids still alive. All right? Period. Okay? Okay. Again, cautionary tale for all of us, but let's continue on. We got more. So let's take a listen to Lynn Wyatt, if I'm correct.
That there was anything more that could be found. But how is it that you and your family were able to get back into that home and discover yet even more evidence?
On Friday, the landlord, as we were planning the funeral, notified us that we had 3 days to get on the property or everything was going to go in a dumpster this Monday. We stopped the funeral and myself, Holly's godmother, and her godmother's daughter, just the three of us, went to the house. And we found 5 phones. We found a notebook ledger with the names. We just found other things. And that's the other family members come, the police came. Yeah, we found a lot of horrifying things, but
Can you explain, Lynn, a little bit more about the ledger? Whose handwriting was it and what was in the ledger?
just names and ages, like numbers. I didn't recognize, but I knew it was something important. We did turn it over to the police. The most probably disturbing evidence I found that day is I pulled the dresser out, and behind it was a towel with duct tape all around it, and I pulled it, and it was restraints, Velcro restraints, unlike the other restraints, which was laying all through the house. This one was taped to the back of the dresser. I asked the deputy that was on the scene if he wanted it. He said, "This is not an active crime scene. It's solved. If you don't want it, put it in the dumpster." And I begged.
This is what this is what the deputy told to you over the weekend. You found additional restraints that very well could have had DNA of potentially other victims on it.
I begged him, "Please take this." I said, "Please take this. It's not like the chains. They weren't laid out. They were taped behind a dresser." He said, the victims are dead. The perpetrator's dead. If you don't want them, ma'am, put them in the dumpster. I said, "Why would I want them?" What
did you end up doing with them?
I put them in a garbage bag. On that day, we thought what we would do is hire a private investigator. I hid him in the house and we left. In fact, I had told by the police I had to leave or he was going to arrest me. When I asked for what, he said, "We're not leaving." I was like, "I have permission to be here," but we left. And
let me just say this again. You had law enforcement going to them and saying that they were going to arrest them for just being on the property when it was open to the public. First off, it wasn't a crime scene anymore. It wasn't considered a crime scene anymore. But now you got law enforcement telling them to get off the property or they're going to arrest them for what reason? For no reason at all. Like, something ain't right here, guys. Something's rotten in Denmark. I'm saying it.
We returned the next day and nothing could prepare anyone for what we had to find.
Can you tell me a little bit more, Lynn, about what you found under the floorboards?
Actually, before she goes into that, this is one piece that I am curious about is how did they go and think about looking under floorboards? Like, that's the part I'm going, how did they go, let's look underneath the floor in which we are standing on right now? That's one piece I'm very curious about as well, because it's very, very interesting. But before we continue, hold on, I gotta few super chats. Tall Apartment, thank you so much for the $2 super chat. I appreciate it. Thank you, S Dubs, for the $2. If they are too small, call the feds for help. Yes, I agree. I think there was that do the member thing. Hold on, that one. Could have sworn there was a member that may have. Yes, Miss Renee, welcome to the family. Thank you so much for joining. Unless you just renewed, you might have renewed, but thanks for renewing. I do appreciate that. Thank you. But yeah, it does make me wonder what made them decide to go, let's look underneath the floorboards. Brilliant, very smart, whoever did that, unless it was just clear that the floorboards were moving or something. I don't know, but that is very shocking to me. Please, guys, do not forget to hit that like button down below. Please hit that subscribe button. It'd be greatly appreciated. Let's keep on rocking and rolling.
The first set of clothes wasn't in the floorboards. They were wadded up in the closet. The first pair I pulled out was just some bloody shorts, but the second, and to me, the dry blood was obvious, but it was the second pair of little underwear. The fluid was, yeah, we put those in garbage bags. We went back to get as much evidence out before my brother and the grandmother got there. When the OSBI got there, I gave my interview and I said, no one should have to see what I say. No one had to collect what I had to. I'm not a crime scene investigator. I'm not a police officer. I should not have had to see those things. I'm not sleeping. I'm not eating. OSCI was amazing, but that's just, there was just a lot of stuff that in time I really want to sit down and talk to someone about. I need to be sensitive to the victims, my own family members. Some don't even know. I stepped on a hypodermic needle. I got.
Lynn, can I ask you about the nature? I know this is extraordinarily difficult, but it is so critical, this evidence, because there may be other missing children out there.
Absolutely.
Can you tell me the nature of the Polaroids, the 4-inch stack of Polaroids?
There was a lot of pictures, not just Polaroids. I found probably 4 binders. They're about this thick. I started opening them up. The first thing was Jesse McFadden's psychological evaluation. I'm just trying to be so sensitive. I don't even know if I can publicly say some of the things that can be on TV.
Just say it.
I don't know how to say it.
Were the pictures of children, and were they sexual in nature?
I don't want to talk about it, okay?
That's a hard yes. I'm just letting you know. That, how she just responded right there, was a hard yes.
I understand.
I promise.
Were you able to turn those photographs over to the police?
I turned everything I found. I turned over correspondence with other inmates. I turned everything over that I could find.
Thank you for watching.
Yeah. So I want to say that there is a lot of information in this video here that, I mean, obviously just the emotion, the reaction of them going through the stuff, finding the stuff. Yeah, Nini Panini. Yes, I agree. Absolutely, she is in shock. She's reliving everything. And no, she's not reading some cue cards or anything, reading notes or whatnot. She is literally reliving all the images that she saw, all the things that she saw, images that no person should be seeing ever, right? It's like the same thing that we saw with the Allen Mall tragedy. Those images are things that shouldn't be seen. People shouldn't be seeing that stuff, guys. We shouldn't be looking and that's images we shouldn't be seeing. Innocent lives, men, women, and children. We shouldn't be seeing that. And then we see this here where she's seeing not only just her niece, okay, as a victim, she's seeing multiple other victims that may have still be alive, but just never spoke out on being a victim, or that could very well be somewhere in the backyard of that house, buried underneath that pond. I'm just saying, think about all those things. And the fact that there is a dark ring out here that feeds for that fiends for this kind of content. Let me get these super chats real quick. Just saying, it's just, think about that for a second. And why isn't law enforcement in that town doing everything they can? Or why weren't they doing everything they can? Why did it suddenly become a thing way after when they found the stuff? Something's not right. Okay? I'm going to say it again. Something's rotten in Denmark, y'all. Okay? And Pearl Althouse. Yeah, this woman's going to need therapy for the rest of her life. She's going to have nightmares. She's going to end up having PTSD. I think you were saying PTSD. But yes, absolutely. She even said it out loud. I'm going to need to talk to somebody after this. I won't be able to live with this because of the stuff that she saw. It's terrible. Grace, thank you so much for the 5. I'm catching up at super speed. Thank you for catching up. Would it be crazy to think Holly was possibly involved with getting him content while in prison? It's not a far-fetched idea, Grace. It is definitely not a far-fetched idea. Okay? I will say that. I mean, she was pen paling his, that's the other piece of information too. She was pen paling. Like I still don't understand this. Like I'm still trying to wrap my mind around this whole thing. I swear to God, even though I've talked about this so much, okay? But she was still conversating with the pen pal or with his former cellmate during that time. And then when he got out of prison, he ends up marrying her. I don't know. Maybe she was helping him. I don't know. Like while he was in prison, but she most definitely was involved whilst he was out. We cannot sit here and go, oh, well, maybe she didn't do. Maybe she was, prisoner in her own home. Nah, she knew exactly what was going on. She knew exactly what was going on. Okay, I'll say it. Until they show me proof positive that she wasn't involved and she just had no idea, I'm going to say it like that, because there's no way you could be in that house with all that stuff and not know. There's no way. Or allow that to continue to go down. There's just no way. Unless he just kept her high the entire time to the point where she's just mentally gone, which I don't think that's even possible as well. The fact that he had cell phones, 5 different cell phones that were hers, locked up with like underneath floorboards, tells me that those 2 were the Bonnie and Clyde of this BS, of this type of unthinkable crap. But Lip Locked, thank you so much for becoming a member. Welcome to the family. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so very much. I mean, you know, at some point, we can't sit here and just like be nice anymore. You just can't. Not when you have this kind of content, not when you have this kind of information. The niceties have got to be thrown out the window now. You know, at first I was like, well, maybe, you know, give her the benefit of the. I ain't giving nobody the benefit of the doubt anymore. Not those two. They were definitely involved, or she was definitely involved. Now I know that Banfield and other news sources are saying that she may have been involved. No, she was involved. That's it. There's no way around it. You cannot tell me any other sum of this equation unless do the equation, do the math for me, and you tell me that she didn't do anything, that she wasn't involved. You do that for me. Why would he have 5 cell phones? 5 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 of them underneath floorboards. Why? Then you hear about stuff, clothing, stuff like that. This is all done in this house. It was all done in this house. And here's the other thing too. Whether she was involved, like physically there seeing everything, or if she was coming back from going to the, you know, to Aldi's or something like that, coming back and saying, hey, you know, what's up with all this stuff around the house? And him explaining, why wouldn't she go and tell the police? Why wouldn't she run to 5-0, screaming and yelling, saying, you know, my new husband's absolutely knucking futs. The fact that she said nothing still proves that she was involved. You say nothing, you are part of the problem. It's insane. Gigi, thank you so much for the 5. For everyone who prays, please pray for these families in the entire town. My grandson and son knew of these children, all of these children. I'm sorry. Wow, he is devastated. Well, Gigi, I am so sorry that your grandson is going through this kind of tragedy. Like I said, this ripple, this pebble that was thrown in this lake, right? It ripples out and it affects everyone. Classmates, best friends, parents, relatives, all that. Okay? All that. Those kids deserved better. All of them. They did. So, you know, I'm praying for your son too. Your grandson, I'm sorry, Gigi. I'm praying for your grandson too, because this affects him too. And then they don't know this, your grandson, I can only imagine, is going, man, if I had only known, or, oh my gosh, there was that red flag, but I just didn't see it until now. And that's the tragic part of it as well. There are other people that are going to be emotionally traumatized by this. Not only just traumatized from seeing the images like this aunt here, right? Going in there and seeing these horrifying things. There's a lot of kids out here that are going to be questioning this for years, probably for the rest of their life, and wondering if they could, if they had known, if they woulda, coulda, shoulda, if you see what I'm saying. It is very tragic. There is a video, there is a video that I do want to show you guys. We got one more for you. It's tough, guys. It is very, very tough. Now, I know I've showed this to you guys before, but I did want to share this with you guys. Or it's a different version, okay? But I did want to show you guys this video, and it's just the family going through the house and just seeing this stuff, you know? Let's take a look at that real quick.
This should have never happened.
A father's search for answers leading him into a house of horrors. Nobody prepared for what was inside or the potential evidence missed by investigators.
Yep.
Okay, hold on.
Now, of course, I gotta kind of go in and out of these.
Kevin Overland.
Noise.
Tonight, we are following blockbuster developments in that ghastly murder-suicide that shocked the state and nation, leaving 7 people dead, including 5 children.
Brittany Brewer, Ivy Webster, Tiffany Guess, Michael Mayo, and Riley Allen, all between the ages of 13 and 17, along with Holly Guess, each shot to death.
Investigators
With an exclusive.
Well, Adria, Kevin, we first want to warn you, the images you're about to see from inside the home are disturbing. It was hard to watch Ivy's family as they discovered what they believe is crucial evidence that was left behind by law enforcement. In a matter of minutes, they found their own daughter's cell phone tucked away in a cabinet, and that was just the beginning. Now they're wondering whether law enforcement dropped the ball.
We can't have parents go through what we have. I'm angry. This should have never happened.
His daughter Ivy was only 14 years old when Jesse McFadden murdered her. Okmulgee police say Ivy died from a gunshot wound to the head. Her family has 0 answers, couldn't say goodbye, and has no closure. So now they're looking for it.
I feel that my daughter, even right now, is standing behind me, telling me to keep going, keep doing this.
Phone or phone case.
Thursday afternoon, News 4 was invited by Webster and his family to take a closer look at where his daughter took her last breath. Behind these walls, the family found sex and bondage devices. In one of the bedrooms were restraints bolted into the bed frame. There was also a shelf filled with books about witchcraft. 10 feet away in the kitchen, another restraint with chains and locks still attached. Although there were reportedly 4 bodies found in this home, we didn't see any bloodstains, no blood splatters. In the back room, the most shocking find of it all, crucial items that had not been collected.
That's them. Hey, that's them.
Okay, is
That's
that hers?
Yep. Okay. Hold on.
Call the sheriff.
Yep.
Don't touch them. Don't move them.
Ivy Webster's cell phone was tucked away in a laundry room cabinet, along with 2 other cell phones and 2 laptops. In the same room, syringes, what appears to be drug residue, and various items the family believes was used to torture their daughter before she was murdered. None of it collected by law enforcement until this family called the Okmulgee County Sheriff's Office and asked them to come back to the home and retrieve these items.
There you go.
Pictures were snapped and the items finally collected, but not without a brief explanation as to why it hadn't been done before.
I want more done.
You see that hole in the door? Interesting.
The problem is we don't know what else to do. Like,
There's a story to be told here.
right.
We don't know what happened.
Don't know what else to do. I'm going to say
And
this.
since we don't have the only person that can tell us what happened,
Is dead, but we can try to piece it
And
together.
I'm going to say this was not done right. No crime scene
we
tape.
are open to any suggestions you all can
I'm saying
give.
this. They didn't do their job, and the whole world's going to know it.
But what would this accomplish?
I'm a grieving parent that my daughter got raped and murdered, and you're telling me right now that I don't have a right to know what happened? The story's right here. It's right here. And it's still sitting here.
Did you hear what I just heard? Did you see what I just saw? Did you really see what did you see what I saw? Did you hear what I just heard? Don't worry, I'm going to roll it back, but I'm just saying. That's law enforcement, right? With the camera, with the nice camera, taking the photos. That is law enforcement, right? And he's saying what again? Man. Hold on. Wow. I'm rolling that back. Hold up. So this is law enforcement. This dude right here. This was a cop. Hold on. I'm rolling that all the way back because we need to watch that again. You got to be kidding me. The audacity. The straight up audacity of this man. Are you kidding me? What? I'm sorry. At first, when I first watched this video, I literally thought, because I watched this earlier, and I guess in my sleepy mind, I thought that was a friend. You know what I'm saying? But then now I'm putting two and two together. This is an actual cop making excuses. Like, it's a done deal. I don't understand. Hold up. I'm playing that. They just got caught red-handed. Wow. These parents better, these families better start suing 5-0. Let me just play that one more time. What the? Shut the front door.
County Sheriff's Office and asked them to come back to the home and retrieve these items.
This is bad.
There you go.
This is very bad.
Pictures were snapped and the items finally collected, but not without a brief explanation as to why it hadn't been done before.
Wow.
I want more done.
The problem is we don't know what else to do.
The problem is we don't know what else to do. It's laughable because it's that shocking. That's his. He's saying this on camera, baby. He's getting caught in 4K saying this BS. Thing is we don't know what else to do. You didn't even do half of your job, y'all. Okay, I'm breaking this down because
Like,
there's a story to be told here.
right.
We don't know what happened.
Don't know what else to do. I'm going to say
And
this.
since we don't have the only person that can tell us what happened,
He's dead, but we can try to piece it together.
And I'm going to say this was not done right. No crime scene
we
tape.
are open to any suggestions you all can
I'm saying
give.
this. They didn't do their job, and the whole world's going to know it.
Okay. He just turned into like customer care. You know what I mean? Like that hotline. He literally just went into, well, if there's anything else you guys can suggest for us to do, because the man who's involved in this whole thing, he ain't here no more. He dead. So there's nothing we can do. I think I would have decked this guy. I think I would have. Yeah, I think I would have. This is in 4K. This is caught on camera. He don't know that he's saying this asinine BS out of the stupid word vomit that just came out of his mouth. And he's talking to this person, to this father of a victim, like he calling in because he's saying like his cable isn't working. Well, if you got any suggestions for us to do, but you know, the guy who did all this, he ain't here no more. So we don't know what else to do. Dag nabbit. What a piece of trash. Oh my God.
What would this accomplish?
I'm just going to let that one sink in for y'all. Did he just... I'm sorry. It's laughable because it hurts. It's so unbelievable that he's saying this. I'm rolling that back one more again.
World's going to know it.
What would this accomplish?
There's so many things that could be accomplished in this situation. Why would you have the audacity to try to challenge the father, the grieving father of a victim that just got their life taken just days before and then they walk in the place because they realize that you guys, law enforcement, weren't doing the doggone job, finding all this stuff all over the place. And you have the audacity to say, what else could we do? What else could we have done? There's plenty that you can be doing right now. You could save other people. If there's other pieces of evidence in there that has DNA, etc., that could maybe lead you to unearthing or exposing other victims, other missing kids, so on and so forth. There's so much they could be doing unless they realize that that house is there's so much stuff in there that they were like, this is too big for us to handle, so we're just going to walk away from it. But does that make sense? When you could literally be heroes, you decide to run away from the fire? Because it's already been done. Oh, okay. Oh my God, what a piece of trash. You need to go get a job at McDonald's. Just go there. Just go there. Okay? You do not need to be a cop. Period. Okay? The world needs more baristas. Go work for Starbucks. Okay? Then you don't have to lift a doggone finger.
I'm a grieving parent that my daughter got raped and murdered, and you're telling me right now that I don't have a right to know what happened? The story's right here. It's right here. And it's still sitting here. Still!
Disgusted with the investigation into his daughter's murder, he only saw more uncollected evidence on his walkout. Another phone in the top drawer of a nightstand, several computer towers, and a check made out to a local storage company still sitting in plain sight.
I'm upset.
Unbelievable,
Healing,
man.
Trying to heal. Still confused.
I mean, like I said, you see this kind of stuff, and it just angers me, because you got family, you got people out here that are just wanting justice for their kids. They want transparency, guys. That's all they want. They want an explanation of what happened here. And you got law enforcement. These are the worst cops in the world. I don't care. I don't live there, so I ain't got nothing to worry about. These are the worst cops in the world. The ones that don't care. Those are actually the most dangerous cops out here, are the ones that don't care. That feel like, well, the job is done. They roll, they're not willing to roll up their sleeves and get dirty. And I mean dirty in a good way, meaning getting to the truth, working their butts off to find out what actually happened to this whole group of people. And that maybe by them doing that further investigation, maybe that can save other lives. But instead of them staying around and staying in the fire, they run away from it and say, well, he's dead, so there's nothing for us to worry about. He gone. So case closed. This is the wildest display, the most shocking display of laziness I have ever seen. And what's wild is whoever that cop is better put in his resignation papers right now, because that cop should be fired. He should be cut off. Turn in your badge and your gun. Deuces. That cop should not be a cop no more. You do not talk to grieving families in that type of way. What else could we have done? Everything is, he gone. So there's nothing we could have done. What else could we do here? Nicole B, thank you so much for the 5. Law enforcement may have taken them all out to avoid Jesse snitching on them if he were to be arrested again. Ooh, that's a theory. That is a theory. That's definitely a theory. But there's something not right here. There's not. Okay? Yeah, corruption. This is absolutely yes, Miss Thang, and thank you for the comment, Athena. But yes, this is all, as you said, unforgivable. It's absolutely unforgivable. This is crazy, guys. This is absolutely crazy. And the fact that this is a real thing. This is really a real thing. There is so much going on in this story that I don't even know. And understandably, that there's a massive amount of speculation and theory running around where people are thinking, yo, Let's expose law enforcement for their corruption. Once you saw that video, I mean, that video said enough. That video says enough. You know, my heart broke when I heard about the 7 bodies being found when they initially told us the story, when it was initially broke. When they broke the story, I mean. But then you hear all this other stuff. And to me, this says this is very, very thick. There is so much going on in this story and in this case. And this is not closed. In my personal opinion, this case is not closed. And I hope to God that the families watch this show, or they're hearing me out in some sort of way. Not saying that they need to listen to me, but maybe through everybody on Twitter and on social media. I'm hoping to God that they're listening to the people around them that are cheering them on and saying, do not stop diving into this. Now, I know OSBI is involved now. They're doing their work. They're investigating, but I'm wondering how far they really can get if there's corruption involved in that area. This is when I say to the families of these victims, please hire a private investigator, hire 5 of them and have them do their job. Let them investigate. Let them dive into this and unearth and uncover the real truth of what happened to all of them, including potentially other kids and other victims as well. Because that local law enforcement is not going to do a damn thing. They're not going to do anything. Nini Panini, thank you so much for the 5. I just called the White House and had to leave a message. Ask for your congressman. Let's go get the story out here. Yeah, I agree. And by you guys sharing this story, by you guys retweeting it, by you guys sharing this video, all that, the more you guys do that, the more the truth hopefully can get exposed. But I'm telling you right now, there are more kids, there are more victims, either in the back of that yard or have stayed silent because of fear and whatnot. There's no way that you have children's clothing in red, still wet. There's no way without them having been there or having lost their life recently and have maybe discarded in the back of that yard. And again, there's a pond. A pond was created 2 months ago, guys. I'm going to repeat that again. 2 months ago. Why was a pond made? What, so that they can swim in it or something else? Sorry, Madeline, what's up? Thank you so much for the 10. It's insane how in this day and age, PDs are still finding it a good idea to cover stuff up. Yeah, police departments. It's like they don't know the internet exists. The truth will see the light. Yeah. I agree. This is crazy, guys. Again, crazy, crazy, crazy. Something else is going on here. And he could have been the hub of some moving bodies, if you get what I'm saying. Living bodies, but moving bodies. He could have been the center of it. There could be a lot of stuff. It's very deep, dark, sinister stuff that went on in that house. Why would there be restraints like that? Why would there be chains, padlocks, etc.? Not only just because of the stepkids, but what else? Who else could have gone through that house? Passed by, passed through. Think about that for a second, guys. There could have been a lot more. Whoops. Fragaria, sorry. Yes, I did mention that. They found not teenagers' clothing, okay? I will say that. Yeah, there's a lot of other things going on in here, guys. Trust and believe. And I pray that footage let me get that, of this piece of work right here. I'm just going to show them again. This guy right here. I pray that man's getting fired right now. I pray that he's getting fired. He should not be talking to any victims' families like that at all, ever. That's not how you respond. He could have reacted and talked about this in a much more diplomatic way, but he didn't even do that. He just said, what can we do? It's done. Trash. Yes, K-Bay. Yep. I believe under the pond. That's what I think. Or just buried throughout the entire backyard. You never know. One thing I do wonder is how long he owned that house or how long he was renting that house. That's one thing that I'm curious about. And hopefully we find out that very, very soon. Okay? Because that type of evil should not be out here. Okay? Period. But that is the show, guys. I appreciate all y'all for being here. It really does mean a lot. This one was a tough one, but it was definitely a conversation and a topic that we needed to bring up because this story needs the attention that it really does need. Does that make sense? It doesn't, but you know what I'm saying, okay? This is the conversation that needs to be out here. First off, I do want to say thank you to the mods. I appreciate you guys as always. I also want to say thank you to all the new members and thank you so much for all the super chats. I really do appreciate it. Okay. It really does mean a lot. It really, really, really does mean a lot. I will be talking about a couple other stories here. We got some other things coming up. We got some new updates about the Allen tragedy, which I will be doing most likely a live on because it's a lot to digest. So I will be doing that in a few hours from now. And again, please, guys, just when you're with your kids, talk to them, have an open dialogue with them. Communication is key. Okay. And get to know them. Get to know their kids, your kids' friends too. And most importantly, get to know your kids' friends' parents, because you never know what they could be dealing with behind closed doors. Okay. I think that's incredibly crucial. All right. I do want to say that really quick. But before you head out and before I head out, please make sure you hit that like button down below. That would be greatly, greatly appreciated. Okay? Hit that like button down below. Do not forget to crush that subscribe button. All right? You know, I'm working hard out here in these streets to give you the conversation and the stories that you need. But yes, it'd be greatly appreciated if you hit that subscribe button. Also, again, a few hours from now, we will be doing a conversation about the new updates, like the monster from the Allen Mall tragedy. They have finally exposed his face. So we are going to be looking at that and talking about all the disturbing new details around that. And of course, if you're not able to see that show, I will be on at 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time with my sister over on The Real Beef with S&P. please go over to that YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button over there. It'll be a much lighter, much more fun conversation over there, doing some pop culture conversations and all that. We will be having a good time, me and my sister acting a fool and having a fun time. So please be sure to tune into that later on tonight at 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Anyway, it's time to get going. I appreciate all y'all. I appreciate you guys. Be good to yourselves. Be good to one another. And I'll see you guys very, very soon. This is the Pascal Show. Be good to yourselves. Be good to one another. Wow. It's been a long day. Be good to yourselves. Be good to one another. And I'll see you guys in the next video. This is the Pascal Show. Bye.